I'm David Volk, a voice of the resistance, albeit a strange and funny one. Today's post, I go into the way not so far back machine for Project 2025's Weirdness continues. What a shocker. I've only been working on this 2 weeks, but there are times when I like to use that as a headline in every installment. Call it good, say goodnight, everybody, my work here is finished, and go on about my business. Each time I open the online book, so much craziness floods out that I become generally concerned that they will use up the entire world supply of crazy. Yet the next day I open up to discover there's more where that came from. It's getting to a point where I think the subtitle of the book should be Read All You Want, We'll Make More. In the second installment of this chapter, the author and Trump former acting director of Citizenship and Immigration Services, Ken the Cooch Cuccinelli, goes off on illegal immigration and the crisis at the border. To hear him tell it, the crisis is that there are too many of the wrong people coming over. You know, you're poor, you're tired, you're huddled masses yearning to breathe free, and not enough of the right ones. But that's the entire basis for all of this document, isn't it? We are old, rich white guys, and we are afraid of liberals, of non-white people, of wokeness, whatever that is, of people who don't want to listen to us or follow us because they realize we're so full of shit our eyes are brown. Still, the bigotry and the effort to steal power because they can't get it legitimately through a free and fair election has a different flavor every day. Today's variety includes the following highlights. 1. We hear you knocking, but you can't come in. The Cooch believes we should stop granting visas to migrants who are either victims of human trafficking or abuse and agree to help law enforcement investigate and prosecute those crimes and or trafficking victims who fear additional harm should they be forced to return. People who seek asylum out of fear of gang violence need not apply, but migrants who are among the best and brightest and elite applications for H-1B1 are welcome. So much for your poor, tired, and huddled masses. 2. Move them out, head them up. 2025 also wants to push out the aliens who are here faster. Dementia J promised hundreds of thousands of deportations when he took over, and Heritage wants to help by having immigration and customs enforcement round up any aliens who have committed crimes or are considered a threat to safety. The catch is, they get to determine whether or not someone's a threat. And when you're a hammer, every problem looks like a nail. They would also get rid of visas for students from, quote, enemy nations. Perhaps the biggest change would be that ICE would be able to expand its range. Now it can only detain and arrest immigration violators within 100 miles of the border. The Cooch wants to eliminate that, quote, sensitive zone and allow detentions anywhere in the United States. 3. Head 'em up, move 'em on. ICE would also be able to get more workplace search warrants, called Blackie's warrants, to interrogate or detain workers agents believe may be undocumented workers. Let's try that again, just so you can understand it, and I can understand it. ICE would also be able to get more workplace search warrants, called Blackie's warrants, to interrogate or detain workers that agents believe may be undocumented workers. Interestingly enough, the Cooch doesn't seem so concerned about punishing the companies that attracted the workers here and kept them on their payrolls in the first place. Why do you think that is? I guess they must contribute more to political campaigns than the illegals do, huh? 4, move 'em on, head 'em up too. The immigration boogaloo. Once they've rounded up as many people as Trump wants them to in the first 100 days, there's the small problem of figuring out where to put them all. During the first and hopefully only Trump administration, Dementia J got all kinds of grief because the immigration detention facilities were inadequate, overcrowded, and illegal. That won't be a problem if Loser J somehow sneaks in again because Heritage wants to change it to allow the flexibility to use large numbers of temporary facilities such as tents, even if those tents are in areas subject to unbearable heat or frigid cold. As part of the move, Congress would be asked to approve funding for tents and beds for up to 100,000 illegal aliens. Although the bad news is the authorization to use tents could set up what looks like a refugee camp at the border, there is a bit of good news from Project 2025, and that's that Loser Jay would also call for Congress to fund 5,000 additional attorneys to prosecute and railroad the illegals through the system at a faster rate. It would also fund 20,000 expedited removal officers, whatever those are, to send the illegals on their way. So, at least there's that. And the saga continues. And so does this endless chapter. I've been David Volk, a voice of the resistance, albeit a strange and funny one.